to A Well-Designed Business. My name is LuAnn and I'm so glad you found this podcast. Together with my husband Vince and our partner Bill, we have grown our company WindowWorks from the ground up. So I know and I understand the challenges you face in running your interior design business. I also know that your talent alone isn't enough to ensure your success. So on this podcast, we talk about strategies and practical steps to help you grow your business. But make no mistake about it, we have our share of fun here too, mixed in with those aha moments that I love so much. This isn't fluff. Nobody has time for that. Whether you are a new interior designer or a seasoned designer, I am here to help you create and to manage the kind of interior design firm that you dream of. It's straight talk and it's action. Are you ready? Let's get started. Hi, welcome to A Well-Designed Business. Today's show is sponsored by Duque Renders, a 3D rendering studio based in Tula, Mexico, which produces high-quality renderings for you, interior designers. Duque Renders is run by Fernando and Enrique Duque. If you are a regular listener of the show, you might have heard about Duque Renders on episode 639, when I interviewed Tulum-based designer Mina Duque about launching her business in another country. Mina's husband, Fernando, started Duque Renders as a way to help free her time so she could focus more on growing her business. Now, Duque Renders serves designers all over the country with their exquisite renderings. Today, Fernando joins me to talk about his journey in starting his business, his advice for entrepreneurs, and how his services can help you grow your business. Let's hear what Fernando has to say. Hi, Fernando. Thanks so much for joining me on A Well-Designed Business today.
Hi, LuAnn. It's so nice to finally talk to you. I'm super excited to be on your podcast.
Thank you. It's me who's super excited. After I met your wife, Mina, last year, and we talked about her business, totally fell in love with her. And of course, she kept telling me about you. And I'm the one that's happy for this. And we'll put it in the show notes, the episode that Mina was on, because you want to hear the story that she told about how you guys, came to live in Tula, Mexico, and how she started this business. And from that business, you started Duque Renders, right?
Yeah, that's exactly how it started. It was thanks to my wife, Mina. She's an interior designer, like you just mentioned, here in Tulum. And again, a previous guest of your show, and it's show 639. I did my homework. This was, 639. So this was back in March 2020 when, COVID was just starting. Remember those days?
Yes.
We didn't know that it was going to go this far, right? But,
no.
We saw her wearing all the hats that all these interior designers usually wear, the typical one-woman show. She was the principal designer, the accountant, the painter, electrician. And I bet some of your listeners can relate, right? Like, the typical one-woman show. And one of her jobs in her firm she was a render artist. She was creating, all the renders for her presentations, and and at that time she was using one of those like basic software. The software were good, but they're very limited. The results were not that great. They looked a little bit cartoonish. The library of items was very limited, but the most important part, LuAnn, it just took so much time to create them. And she's a designer, she's not a render artist. And I believe that she should be spending more time designing. So my brother Enrique and I decided to see if we can help her out and give her a hand. And we took over the renderings for her. We were trying to do what she was doing with her ongoing projects. And honestly, I think I wanted her to spend more time, finding more clients, investing time in her business. And a little bit of a selfish one, I want her to spend more time with me. We just
well, you are a man.
We're
you want it your way. Let's be serious.
Exactly. And to be honest, we were just married at that time.
Aww.
So
she wanted it too.
I want her to spend a little bit.
And she wanted it
exactly.
too.
Yeah, I think absolutely. Yeah. So I think it was a perfect, like idea, I believe. So we took over. And by the way, we were using the same basic softwares. And after that, I know that you love, accumulating aha moments. A very good aha moment happened to her. she didn't have to do them anymore. And of course, we
Mm.
took over. It's very obvious. But now she was investing time back into her business. She was getting more clients, and I got a little bit my way. She was spending more time with me, and that was
Mm.
a big win-win, right?
Mm-hmm.
I honestly do believe, LuAnn, that that's the definition of working smarter and not harder. And I know that's something that you promote here in the podcast all the time. After we finished some of her projects, we thought like, God, we could probably help other designers, and that's what we did. We went to Facebook and posted the work that we did for her in one of these interior designers group, and suddenly a lot of people started noticing, asking for more information about us, learning more about the process, and we started sending quotes. And one person, the very first one, paid, and this is Ania White that I
Oh,
always,
I love Ania.
Ania,
She's
right?
here in our area.
Yeah,
We do her window treatments at Window Works.
yeah, she's awesome, and I always give her a shout out because she was our very first paying client, and that's like a good thing for us, right? Like we always have a good special place in our hearts for Nia. And you know how this industry is, right? The word got around very fast, and another designer came along, and another designer came along, and all through referrals, we thought we were onto something, and we got to work. We started creating the process, producing better products, and we saw an opportunity that the market needed to be served better. And fast forward in LuAnn, it's actually funny to say it, but 1.5 years after, we have now over 300 clients that keep coming back.
Whoa.
Over 85% of our clients keep coming back, and our tiny little team of my brother and I have now grown to over 100 people working in the company, and I can't
Fernando.
believe
Oh my God.
no, it is like it's been a journey, and I couldn't be happier because we've been helping so many designers, and of course I couldn't be more proud of the team that we have now. Yeah.
That is remarkable. Now, I understood a lot of your story since I've gotten to know you and Mina over the last year, but I had no idea that you had grown to that size. That's incredible. Okay, so you know what that is? I need to know about the rendering, but that is you know how to build a business. That's what that is. And I know we need to tell everybody
Yeah.
about the rendering, but my goodness, I'm just like, okay, bowing down on what kind of back end process and systems you and Enrique must have, laid in the foundation of Duke Renders in order to support such phenomenal growth.
Yeah, so I think it's all about core values, and how to build a company from the very beginning, having a nice set of rules and things that you actually live by. And for us, it's very simple. Some of our core values is that we are a client-centric company. We have to pay attention to detail because we're serving such a picky industry. And
Mm.
like you said on the intro of your podcast, we like to have our fair share of fun too. So that's some of our core values. And being a client-centric company means that we put the client first and at the center of everything that we do. And I know that sounds like everybody does that, but focusing on creating the better experience for our clients is what we focus on, and that brings that is what comes with brand loyalty. And I think that's why our clients keep coming back. Like I mentioned, over 85 or 80% keep coming back. We basically try to create an experience so good that our clients can't even imagine receiving the same level of attention from any other company. In fact, I remember our friend in common, Leighton Lewis. You know Leighton. He's
Yes, I didn't know you work with him
yeah.
too.
Oh yeah, Leighton and I created. Well, Leighton hired us for the Obsidian Project, and for anyone that is not familiar with the project, this was a collaboration of 28 different designers to create a virtual house. All right, it was a beautiful, beautiful project, but believe me, it was no easy peasy. It was very complex and a lot of moving parts. So I don't know what happened. Something happened internally in the with the original render company that for some reason they couldn't do the renderings 15 days prior to the launch of the house.
Mm.
So they had no renderings for a virtual house.
Whoa.
This is an emergency, LuAnn.
This
Like
is
this
an
was an
emergency. Well,
emergency.
right, because it's not a real house. It actually has to be rendered virtually for people to have a virtual house, right?
Exactly. And you can imagine the level of emergency. And I know emergency from an interior designer point of view because remember, I'm married to one, I live with one.
Mm-hmm.
So Layden called me and told me, Fernando, I know this is an impossible thing to ask, but I need you to do them. Like, it wasn't even a question. I think I could tell that Layden was very frustrated. And let me just put you in perspective what he was asking. In normal circumstances, a project like this, LuAnn, would have taken us 2 to 3 months.
Wow.
And we needed to do this in 10 days because it was, 15 days prior to the launch. So we talked to the team and we agreed that we needed to help our client. It's one of our values. We're a client-centric company, that we knew that we were not going to sleep that much for the next 15 days. And we said yes.
Wow.
And that's exactly what happened. Countless nights, and the team working around the clock, but at the same time, and then we were quoting our core values. We were having so much fun, LuAnn. We had like Red Bull parties, and we ordered food for our team members that were working late. I tell you, it was challenging. I'm not gonna say that it wasn't, but it was super fun. And at the end, we made it happen, and the results were spectacular. I think you've seen them, and
Yes.
Layden and his team thanked us so much. They were so happy, and the Obsidian experience was a total success. It was covered by Forbes, Architectural Digest, Elle Decor, and literally every single major publication. That was a very cool feeling.
Oh my
So
goodness.
yeah, so I mean, I tell you this story because it kind of like summarizes everything that we do in one single story. So it goes back to being crazy about our clients and paying attention to detail, you know, receiving notes from 28 different designers in such short notice is quite a task. And of course, we had so much fun.
Wow, that's remarkable. I mean, the thing is, I think there's something in there as you as the entrepreneur, and maybe it's the combination of you and Enrique, or one of you, where you just, because a lot of people would have a knee jerk reaction of, this is impossible, your request is unreasonable, and it can't happen. And there is that moment in our times, often in our career, where we get that opportunity, and that you really are knowing you're going to go above and beyond. And whether it's because of it's a time thing like yours was, and it's funny because I remember a moment similar, not nearly as pressure filled because it did not have that deadline driven aspect to it, but it was with Layden. I remember when Layden had his first opportunity to be in the Kips Bay show house, and they invited him as a young designer, under 30, I want to say he was. And he came to us, and I really didn't know what Kips Bay was at the time. And I was like, heard of it, but didn't really get it. And when he was, saying, hey, I got this opportunity to be in Kips Bay, will you make the draperies? And I remember, Fernando, I remember thinking, this is probably going to cost us a lot of money. I'm not sure if it's going to pay off, but Layden has been, we've been doing his work, and this is something, this is like what you said, a client-centric thing. This is a payback, a way to show him that we appreciate him. And the nudge in here is, I remember thinking, I get this, but I remember thinking, will Vinny and Billy get it? Will they be like, why would we go and pay all this money, to be in a show house? And thankfully, they understood, and they said, if you think it's the thing to do. And then, of course, I joked him, because when I went over for the site measure, he's like, these 3 walls, wall to wall, floor to ceiling, I want to do drapes. I'm like, buddy, you're killing me. You know what I mean? Like, you didn't want just a Roman shade, right? But inside, that was inside voice. Outside, I said, absolutely. And the thing is, it did pay off. It was a solid thing to do for my friend and colleague. But I said on the recent episode when Layden was on the show, we got hundreds of thousands of dollars of future business off of that, because one architect in Western New Jersey found us, and we did all of her projects, and she had major projects for like the next 25 years. And so it was, it's one of those things where I feel like you probably had that same, this is crazy, But you know what? If we can do it, this is a win-win-win for everybody. Am I right on that, Fernando?
it it was 28 wins, like,
Yes, yes,
like, because there were 28 different designers,
yes.
and yeah, and it was impossible what he asked, but at least we tried, and we were going to deliver no matter what, and that's exactly what we did. Like, it wasn't even a matter of is it profitable, it's not, it's
Right.
let's stick to our values. It's
Yep.
We are a client centric company, and it just saves you so much time into thinking if you're going to do it or not. We are, because we're a client centric company, and customer service is what our clients really expect from us, and that's what we try to deliver, a unique experience for them.
You know what? I love that you just said when you consider your values and you ask your question if you're going to do something through the filter of your values, it saves you so much time. Because this is something that I say over and over and over again. This is why a designer has to set their mission and their vision and their core values from the company, because then that is exactly it right there. It's like, well, doing this supports what we have decided in easy times with no deadline and no pressure, that this is what we want to do. So, in crazy times, do we live with them? Do we do them? And the answer is yes. And so just go into go mode, right? And you don't have to sit there and agonize over, doing the thing, right?
Exactly. And in fact, our mission of the company is to build a great company with great products and with great people and great results. And you see, the word great is four times there. And for you to be great, you need to stick to your values and really live by them, and really understand the importance that brings to your whole organization. And it's just an easy thing to do. Filter any decision through your values, and it's just much easier to make it.
I just love it. I just love it so much. So, tell me some of the things. First of all, I just have this crazy question. So, when you saw Mina drowning in work and you said you looked at your brother and was like, maybe we could help her. You mentioned in there in the beginning you simply did the same software and the same things she was doing. You just took it off of her plate. But I understand that Duke Renders is much more elevated than the typical entry level software that a designer might use. Am I correct?
Yeah, so we started that way, and
Okay.
that was a kind of like a good experiment to see if we could actually do them for her. And the initial idea wasn't to start a rendering company. The initial idea was to help her out, but we found the opportunity and saw the value that she got out of it, and we immediately thought that this could benefit other people. And again, this was during COVID, and this is like starting a new business during the start of the pandemic.
Mm.
But we saw that the need was so like the need was there, and we just went for it. Yeah, but at the beginning we were using the basic software that she was using, but of course now we found out that the market needs better software, better turnaround times, better designers, and better like 3D artists. And that's what we started doing, and hiring better people that work with us, hiring project managers, hiring account managers. And it's all started growing into a big, like, multidisciplinary team that not only use basic software. We actually use very complex tools that allows us to create the level of renderings that we do now.
Because I've seen them. They are not just your garden variety renderings. They are much more beautiful. And so then what happens is the two of you who have no experience in this sort of get your sea legs on the entry level, what's available to everybody, and then you get a development team. You just consistently just say, "Hey, this would be better if it could this," and that's how Duke Renders is its own proprietary process now.
Yes, exactly. And we have a very simple process. Again, we didn't know much about the rendering, but we did know how to build a company, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we kind of like leverage on our skills, and start applying what we knew about growing companies into this new market that it happened to be, interior design, and my wife is one of them. So again, we were having a lot of feedback from her in real time, and we develop a very simple process that I'm more than happy to talk to you about.
Well, and
So
I just have to
Yeah.
say that line, we didn't know much about rendering, but we knew how to build a company. You see, this is the premise of the podcast, right? It's like we take for granted, and it's a little nuance there, but the truth is, it's like we say all the time. You don't need to hire somebody with a skill set. You need to hire somebody with ethics, with your that share your core values. That they have entry level, they have whatever they need in order to do the job. But you're going to teach them the rest. You can't teach them character. You can't teach them other things. And this is the same thing to me with the business. It's like you didn't need to know about rendering. You knew about business. So Nina could have needed an electrical company. You could have come up with it. I'm sure how to streamline that process for her. You just chose this one because it's the core, the principles of building a business and finding out what makes it run that you brought to this. And then, of course, you add to it your non-negotiable level for quality and for service, and then you take it to the next level. You're just not churning out your average garden variety renders here.
That's correct. And I think the trick, coming back into how to develop like a healthy company, is that the minute you find out that there's somebody better than you that can do your work, and you just have to probably hire and kind of like spread the culture around. It's what I think the trick for our growth, because we started hiring better 3D artists from very early on, and that's why we've been growing for so fast, and being able to serve even more people. So again, it's a smart growth, I believe.
So it's funny because you keep saying these little nuggets in there that I'm like, oh, that's a great big point, but then I want this little point brought out. And so when you were talking about in the beginning, you always consistently hired better artists. I think in there is the nugget that as entrepreneurs, sometimes we want to pull back and we're saying, well, we're just starting, so I can't afford to invest in this. I can't afford to invest in better, more qualified people. But when entrepreneurs see where they're going and believe in it, and then follow it up with the action of investing in the best resources, whether that's people or technology or whatever, it always pays off in building the company faster and more solidly. Don't you agree?
Absolutely, and I couldn't agree with you more. And that's what we've been doing lately. It's been able to see that we need better team members that can do better work, and honestly, better than we could ever do any renderings. This is a skill that you need to learn. And in our case, hiring better renderizers, you can actually see the evolution of our work. Before, it was very, like everyone, like everyone's first projects, you kind of like see it and it's like, oh, you see it after, oof,
Yeah.
maybe I don't like it that much, but you start seeing the incremental growth, and we're fans of growing 1% a day if it's possible, because at the end of the year you just grown so much, and it pays off. Like you mentioned, hiring someone, having that person in the right seat, on the right seat of the bus, is what kind of like makes your company grow in a much smarter and faster way, and a little bit more control too. But yeah, I definitely agree with you.
So I'm laughing and smiling here because I feel like, you know what, Fernando, we might have to have a conversation just 10 minutes once a week, because you keep dropping these little, like these, there has to be the book according to Fernando. I mean, we want to grow the company 1% a day. That is so cool. Like, just to wake up and say, let me do just something 1% today that's going to move my company forward. So you're a piece of work. I have to tell you, smart. I don't say smart guy a lot. You're a smart guy.
Thank you.
No, seriously, incredible business mind. Incredible business mind. All right, so now tell us. I know I could geek out all day on just learning the business side of it from you, but I know the designers are like, tell us about how it works. How does Duque Renders work? So tell us a little bit about the process, about when, maybe about the deliverable that a designer gets from you, and how do they get a quote? What are the first steps for a designer to get involved in Duque Renders?
So the first thing is to go to get a quote. You can go to duquerenders.com/LuAnn. We actually created, LuAnn, a page just for you, where we're going to be talking about everything that we'll be discussing today in the podcast. You're gonna be able to find it there. So easy, dukerenders.com/LuAnn. And in there, you can create a quote, request a quote. Like you can choose the type of project that you want, if it's an interior or an exterior, how many spaces, like if it's a living room or a kitchen or a bedroom. Choose the number of angles that you want per space, the deadline, and that's it. We'll send a quote through email, and it's going to have every single step by step on how to start a project. Which brings me to my process. I think is the second question you asked me.
Mm-hmm.
So our process is a very simple process. It's a three-stage process. The first is the gather stage, the second is the clay draft, and the third is the delivery. And the first one in the gather stage, I also call this your homework. And usually designers this is the stage that designers kind of like they stop from engaging with us because they think that putting together all this information is difficult. In fact, it's much easier than you think. You already have everything, right? You already have everything for this project. It's just a matter of putting it together and send it our way the way you prefer. We actually have a project submission form which will ask you for each document. You just have to upload it, so it's very simple. You can also put this in Google Docs. You can create a PDF file or even an email, however you want. We actually have examples of on all of this in our website that will show you step by step on how to do this. And remember, for anyone listening, you will have an account manager that will receive and review all this. Okay, it's a human person, a human that will review all this. Okay, and if there's something that it's missing, we will let you know. But believe me, LuAnn, we have seen it all. Like we are very resourceful. Like we've seen it all. We've done renderings out of just photographs. We've done renders out of a napkin floor plan. So again, yeah, for everyone listening, it's okay if you don't have absolutely everything. It's okay. We'll figure things out. Start your project, and try to make it one little bit at a time. And once we review all this, we'll move to the second stage. The second stage is the clay draft. And this is one of my favorite parts of our process because you can start seeing your project. This is a plain white rendering with no textures and no materials. Think about your space all covered in snow, right? They're beautiful. And this is our first deliverable to confirm which is going to be the camera angle that you want to choose, which one looks better for your presentation. We also want to know if we're on the right track. This is where you tell us like, hey guys, that chandelier needs to be a little bit higher. Let's just move a little bit that sofa to the left, or let's open those windows. Okay. Also, this stage, the clays are awesome for marketing material. Our clients use them not only for their presentation, but also for their social media. And that's pretty much the clay stage. Once we confirm all these details with you, we proceed to add textures, materials, and lighting, and that's it. We deliver to you. The whole process takes around 7 to 10 business days from start to finish. And remember, I am married to an interior designer, so I know what deadlines mean to you. So we make sure to take care of everything under 10 business days, and we may even come with a nice 6-day surprise, but never the other way around. And the clays are usually within 3 to 5 business days. So the whole process, 7 to 10 business days, and the clays are within those times.
That's remarkable. I mean, I can tell that you have a team deep enough and wide enough to support the promises that you're making. Question: I guess I make an assumption here that the quote is important because the scope of what a designer wants rendered could be very different from job to job. So it's not a flat rate for quotes and things like that. You do just submit what you're envisioning, and then you guys will bring the quote. Or are there ranges or minimums or things like that? Like if I've never paid for a rendering of this level quality before, is it possible to ballpark that, Fernando, so that designers might have an idea, or that's a silly question?
Absolutely not. In fact, that's probably one of the benefits of working with us. We have fixed prices, and So you can, what we try to do is for everyone to know our prices in advance. In fact, you can download our price guide by going again to your website on my and our page, dukerenders.com/luan, and you can see that, for example, our interior spaces like kitchens, dining rooms, and bedrooms, and everything interiors has a price, and everything that we're going to model on in there is included. No price per square footage, so you know a kitchen will cost X amount of money with two views. So you kind of like have and download this price guide and keep it for your records, and then you know when you're proposing to your clients, you can include the price of a rendering, and you will know already how much it's going to cost in advance.
Very good. And what is that like, Fernando, when a designer, do you have firms that offer it as a line item that a client can opt in for? And then do you also have firms that have just gotten to the part where like renderings are included, like they build it in and every client, like what do you find how designers work this out?
So we've been talking, and again, I talked to a lot of designers. I really want to know and really want to get in their minds to understand and how to serve them better. And we've identified three different ways on how a designer can charge um, for the renderings to their clients. And these are the three major ones. The first one is absorbing the minimum cost possible, and I'll go over them in just a bit. Number two is as an add-on, okay, to the proposals. And number three, like you mentioned, if it's included in their proposal. So the number one, absorbing the minimum cost possible, is usually for designers that are first time using renderings, or if they already sent a quote to a client and didn't include renderings in their proposals. So let's talk about, fictional designer Lucy. All right. So let's say that Lucy has an entire remodel of an old house, and she was going to redo every single room of the house. This is, by the way, this is very common, right? So a designer comes along and wants to do an entire house. And the problem is that Lucy already gave her proposal to a client, and the client accepted it. And so the project is well underway. Then somebody recommended us to her, or maybe she listened to a well-designed business podcast and learned so much about the power of 3D renderings, right? So she decides. So this is the part. So she decides to render one room only of the entire house. So that's why I say absorb the minimum cost possible. Just one room, and show it the rendering to her client, and explain how much this will improve the process, and that yes, it would be an extra cost to the proposal, but we try to train our clients to use the word investment, because at the end of the day, decisions will be made faster, and most likely the projects will be finished before the deadline. And that's very powerful, right? After the client saw it, she may sign off on the entire house and actually finish the projects much, much faster. So absorbing the minimum cost possible and offering the renderings as an add-on may be a good way to do it, and it may work. And we've seen it many times with our clients that we give them this option, and then it actually worked. It is like like trying to go fishing, see if you get them to sign off on the renderings, right, for the entire project.
That's pretty
So
clever. That's pretty clever. And I can
yeah.
see how powerful it would be. And it's not icky for the designer to do. Like, it doesn't feel like a switch and bait. It's like, hey, here's your proposal. I rendered one room. Isn't this amazing? Experience how much more comfort you have with signing off on the design plan for this particular room, because you see it brought to life. If you like, we can do this for the other 8 rooms at a cost per room of XYZ, right? That's what you're suggesting?
Exactly, exactly that, and again, trying to use the word investment, because it will get benefits out of it. It's not like just going for ice cream, right? Like there's
Right.
no benefit from that. And another way to do this, like level 2, would be as an add-on. All right, it's very similar to the first one, the last part. So usually designers have been working with us for a little longer use this method, which is kind of like giving the option to the client to add them to the project. However, anything that you give the option to add can be easily not added. all right?
Right.
And then you're back up showing, different, having longer conversations with your clients, and longer approvals, and all these things that the renderings actually allow you to do. So neither you or your clients benefit from them, and that's basically because you're giving them the option of opting out, right? And for any designers that are listening here that are dealing with like lower budgets, that's probably what they would experience. They're gonna opt out, and that's no bueno.
And let me just stop you there.
And that
It really is no bueno for the designer as well. In other words, what you're describing, and when the designers go to your website and they see the quality of the renders that we're talking about, they'll understand very clearly how it will help a potential consumer make that investment in the design process and the design proposal, and also, to your point, the whole process goes smoother and quicker because it is so easily visualized, right? It's no reason why people will go into a furniture store and buy something easier than, just doing it online. It's like right there in front of you, right? Like, we don't want them to do that. We want them to come to you, but it's hard to visualize as a consumer. So hey, do you want this feature? You run the risk that they don't get the benefit, but you don't get the benefit either, right? That's what you're describing.
That's exactly
Yeah.
right, and that's what brings me to the third option, which is included in the proposals.
Mm.
And usually, designers have been working with us for a little longer, go this route and choose this method because they've experienced all the benefits that this is going to give them, like reducing the back and forth with your clients, having everyone on the same page. So it's a lot of benefits, and they keep seeing their client loving the results before any work has been done, which keeps them engaged throughout the process. In fact, I know some designers that they show their clients little by little the renderings. I remember one designer that she had a small bed and breakfast hotel project renovation, and she rendered the entire hotel. But she didn't show the client every single render right away.
Mm.
She was dosing them little by little in her weekly meetings,
She's
because
creating an
this
addict
way,
out of them, right? I want more. I want
exactly,
more.
exactly. And again, these are like mini reveals, LuAnn. Like,
Yeah.
for this is a mini reveal. It looks exactly like the space. It's crazy. And this way, she was, having her client always looking at something, to get excited every single meeting. And this is perfect when times when nothing is happening for the client, like when you're sourcing or when you're waiting for deliveries. Throw a
Mm.
rendering there, and then you keep them engaged.
Oh, a little bit of
So
dopamine for the client during the hard parts, right?
exactly, yeah. So exactly, so including them, the renderings in their proposals becomes like a non-negotiable. And almost, and LuAnn, let's be honest, almost every design show on TV, the proposals are with 3D rendering, so it's something more and more than that clients are expecting. And yeah, and I've heard it. I've heard it so many times. Like, yeah, IGTV is just pushing the industry towards using renderings, and I agree. And usually our clients that include renderings in their proposals have 2 or 3 views per space. Like, for example, they show the kitchen with 3 different views. They show a bedroom with 2 different views, and that's kind of like how they're doing it right now.
So, what occurs to me is that once you experience for yourself as the design professional the benefits of having a really high quality rendering, such as the kind that we get from Duke Renders, then it becomes so much easier to say, this is included. It's a line item price, however you do your proposals, but that you build it in and it's a non negotiable. And it reminds me of when a designer might have, a favorite window treatment vendor or a favorite GC or a favorite, whoever, whatever the artisan is. Many designers do get to that point in their business evolution where they recognize so much the value that other trade partner brings that they get to the part where they will look at their client and say, I'm not going to do this project unless you take my people. Right? It's like, I'm not going to come in here and work with, your cousin Bob as the builder and your brother Joe as the plumber and your Aunt Sally's going to sew the drapes. Like, that's not happening because the designer has gone through that process of not having the hand on the quality control of all of those people. And what happens is, until you've had that experience, you say to yourself, when you're newer in business, how could I possibly insist that someone use my contractor? But then when you have enough headaches, you're like, this is how I could possibly insist, because I have 16 horror shows and stories to explain to somebody why I need my contractor. And so that I'm seeing that same trajectory here. Once a designer has experienced how easy it is for the client to get on board and sign off on a project, how easy it is to keep the client excited throughout the whole process, and how much better the whole project flows, now it becomes, this is part of what I do. I have renderings and they're the line item and you're going to pay for them, right?
Absolutely, and we become part of your team, which is one of
Right.
the things that we like to do. We always tell our clients, designers, that you have a team in Tulum. Like, we are your team in Tulum. We are your army here in Tulum, and that's another of the benefits of probably using a company that has a defined team, and yeah, like somebody that you know that if there's something happening with your project, you have a team behind it to back it up and solve if there's any problems. That's kind of like what are we also doing as part of our benefits of working with us.
Mm-hmm. And tell me, what is the difference, right, with working with you and others? I've already heard 16 differences. Your commitment to client-centric values and the quality. Is there anything else that we need to let a designer know? I mean, the turnaround time is amazing. Is there any detail about working with Duke Renders that a designer needs to know that we didn't uncover?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many differences, and one of the most important ones, and is that we cater to interior designers. Like, we only have interior designer clients. We understand the mindset of an interior designer because I'm married to one, and she's an active advisor in our company. Like, she is there whenever we need her, and I mean, she runs her firm, but whatever I need to ask her something about interior design that I probably don't know, she's there. So we cater, we understand the mindset of an interior designers. I talked a little bit about fixed prices, and again, you can download our price guide and keep it in your files at dukerenders.com/LuAnn. So you know that how things are going to cost prior you even quote them with us. I mentioned a little bit also that we have a dedicated account manager for you. And believe me, LuAnn, this is huge. You're going
Mm.
to be working with someone that is highly, highly trained in delivering not only a great experience, but also great, great products. And this person will be your best friend throughout the entire process, dedicated to your success only. And this is a funny one. This is one of the ones that come up so often. Again, last but not least, we are in your same time zone.
Mm.
And you're gonna ask it like, why is he saying this? Like, usually render artists are in the other side of the world, and that's just another reason. When you're working, we are working. Like, we work at your business hours, and you don't have to wait until like 3 a.m. for us to respond to an email, because again, we are in central time.
Mm.
So we cater again to the same time zone. That's been a big one lately. So there you go. They have some other reasons why probably work with us. And yeah, cater to interior designers. We have fixed prices. We have a dedicated account manager. We work on your same time zone, and we are going to do the absolute best to get you to succeed.
I love it. I love it. It's so good. It's so well thought out. And when you pair such a solid business foundation with such a beautiful quality product, it's a win-win. I mean, sometimes people get the business part right, but the deliverable isn't, exceptional. And some people have an exceptional product that they deliver, and they just, the back end is just like, okay, 7 days or 28 days, whatever, whenever we can get it done, or, and it's
Yeah.
just, you have it all going on, and it's really very admirable. I really do think it's incredible what you've created in only 18 months. And you also have a referral program for the designers that come on and start to do business with you, and then they tell a friend. Tell the designers about that.
Okay, no, our referral program, I love it. It's actually very new, and it's becoming so popular. And just by leveraging on your network, you can start getting benefits. So it goes like this. So For every referral that you send our way and becomes a client, you will get $150 in cash to your account.
Wow.
Cash, all right? No
Whoa.
questions, no minimum. So you send someone our way and you give them your code, and you will get $150 in cash to your account. The person that you're referring to us will get $150 discount on their first order. So it's kind of like a win-win, right? You will get $150 just by saying that Duke Renders is a good company to work with, and that person will get $150 discount on their first order. But wait, we're not done. We can do it after
But
the
wait.
commercials. No, I'm kidding. But that's not all. After by the 10th referral that you send our way, and listen to this one, we are going to get you a ticket to come visit us in Tulum, as where we live.
OMG.
Yeah, and Tulum is so hot
Oh.
right now that everybody's either been to Tulum and want to go back, or hasn't been to Tulum and is dying to come here. So we're thinking that this will push people to, share the love and
That's crazy. You're a nut. Oh my goodness. That's such a great 10th thing. And we're going to tell everybody now. We have been talking over a year about us doing LuAnn Live in Tulum, right, Fernando?
I, I was just, if you didn't bring it, I was going to bring it. So I'm glad you did, because this is now recorded. LuAnn Live coming soon in Tulum. I tell you, LuAnn, we should probably think about this a little bit more, because I think it's going to be a hit. I think it's going to be a
I
hit.
know,
Let's
I
hope.
know. I want to do it. I want to do it. And I got to tell you, that right now, the next LuAnn Live is November 2022. And it occurs to me, I was going to do it in New Jersey, but you really convinced me to do it in Tulum. But one thing is just occurring to me, that it's good at least the new baby will be a year old. So it's like, we got a year. Let's get your little baby, because we didn't even say that on air. But right now, as we're speaking, Mina is like days, so, and but not more than probably 2 weeks from bringing your little girl into the world, right?
Exactly. When people are listening to this, I'm going to be a dad, and
That's
that's
right.
my first baby. And yeah, like you said, like anytime now, she's gonna have her. Yeah, we're gonna have a baby
Yeah,
girl anytime
yeah. And
soon.
so we'll give you guys a year to have your little family, and then maybe we're gonna crash on Tulum. And just think, all those designers with their oh my goodness, now we really got something going on. Oh my God, you can't have them all at the same time, though. All right, I'm thinking out loud. Oh my goodness. Well, that's an incredible gift for the 10th referral, to have a ticket to Tulum. So, and you know what? You two are just amazing people. And I'm 100% sure that it pervades all the way through Duke Renders, from your brother and the senior management team, all the way down to the artists and the project managers that you hire. It is so clear that it is who you are, and that I'm sure the culture pervades all the way through the company. I'm like, without one doubt, though I know that to be true.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We again, it all comes down to going back to our core values. I think it's the growth. It's been little by little, like I mentioned before, and yeah, we try to create the best experience, not only for our clients, also for the people that was working with us, because at the end, without them, it's hard to do this the way we've been doing it. Yeah.
Right. That's so good. So good. All right. So you've said it a couple of times. They're going to go to dukerenders.com/LuAnn. And I do know that you've got a Black Friday sale coming up for the listeners of the podcast as well. So what happens when they check out? They use a code when they do their first order. Is that what's happening?
So we do have a nice promo for it. It depends on when you're listening to this interview, and if you're listening to this before Black Friday and Cyber Monday, we have a great promo for you. We actually want to give you $500, and it goes this way. It goes like this. So if you purchase $500 credit with us, we are going to double it and give you $1,000 credit towards your next project.
Wow.
So again, I'm going to say it again. You purchase a $500 credit, and you will get $1,000 credit with us for your next project.
And this, just
So
so
the
I
way
clear though, this is Black Friday and Cyber Monday 2021, because somebody might listen to this 3 years from now. So this is the special for
exactly
2021, right? Okay.
that's correct. So the way to do it is just go to dukerenders.com/LuAnn and scroll a little bit down. And when you see a countdown timer, click on claim my gift. And that's it. It's easy as that. We do have limited number of credits available for this, and it expires on Cyber Monday Pacific midnight Pacific time. So get yours before they're all gone. So that's if you're listening to the promo before Cyber Monday, okay? 500, and we'll give you $1,000 in credit. If you're listening to this episode after Black Friday or Cyber Monday, no worries. We also have something for you. And this is where we actually did it with your code, LuAnn. We created a code for you. So the code for LuAnn is LuAnn20, LuAnn 20, right? Or you can just mention that you listen to this on the podcast, and you will get a 20% off your first order. Okay, so use LuAnn20 and you will get a 20% off on your first order. So I have promise for everyone, depends on where you're seeing this, when you're hearing this. So yeah, have promise for everyone. Everything is on dukerenders.com/LuAnn.
And again, it just shows the well thought out approach that you take to your business, because there's 700 plus interviews, and I don't know that anybody has taken the time to think about a great incentive for the immediate airing audience, and then a really good incentive for the evergreen audience that will hear it for years to come. We either have evergreen offers, or we have time deadline driven offers. And here you are, literally pre-thinking the whole thing, and it's absolutely brilliant. So thank you. They're both incredibly generous, by the way, and I think it's awesome. And I'm 100% sure that when the designers, take a look, because they're running, they're jogging, they're doing laundry, but when they sit down and they go to dukerenders.com/LuAnn and they see the work on your website and what you're capable of doing, they're going to be super impressed. I know I was, and that's not even my business, and I was just like, whoa. Like, as a consumer, I was like, oh, I get this. This is very, very cool. So I'm so happy for you, Fernando, and for Mina. You two are amazing people, and I'm so glad that our paths have crossed on this planet. And I know that we're going to be in person one day, whether it's LuAnn Live or just me and the Vin Man coming down. But one way or another, we're going to, spend some time with you. I know that's in our cards. And thank you so much for coming on the podcast today, and for sponsoring the episode, and for telling all the designers how they can, get a little piece of this goodness. So thanks, Fernando.
Thank you so much. And for just for people where they can find us, they can find us on, our website is dukerenders.com. And I mentioned this many times during the podcast. If you go to dukerenders.com/LuAnn, you can find everything that we talked about today in this page. You can also have access to our Black Friday promo. You can create a quote from there. You can take advantage of our other discounts, download case studies, and you can also join our Duke Renders Designers Network Facebook group, which we're building a community of interior designers where you can exchange ideas, ask questions, and help each other around. You can also follow us on Instagram and Facebook. Our handle is @DukeRenders. And if you're not ready to commit, or you're not ready to start a project, just go ahead and subscribe to our newsletter. We're always sharing resources for designers, tips, good articles, and we're always trying to add a lot of value. So there's where you can find us, dukerenders.com/LuAnn. Everything that we talked about will be there.
I love it. Thank you so much, Fernando.
Thank you, LuAnn. Thank you so much for having me.
So here's the thing. sort of already knew and completely expected that I would really love this conversation with Fernando, right? Ever since I met Mina and him last year, I have spoken to Fernando on several occasions, and I knew the value of his service and how much he has to offer you, okay? And I kind of knew, but today he blew me away on all of the nuggets of wisdom that he was able to share for growing the business side of our business, right? And now, in hindsight, it doesn't surprise me at all because the phenomenal growth that Duke Renders has experienced has happened strategically at the hand of Fernando and this business mind that he has, right? So let's pick apart a few of the things that he shared. First of all, core values, right? We have talked about this over and over and over again on the show. I mentioned it in my first book. I know that Eileen Hahn has talked about it several times as it relates to hiring. We talk about it when we talk about with Nicole Heimer with marketing. You need to understand what you stand for. And as Fernando said, when you lean heavily into your own values, it leads you to easy decision making. You know what you stand for, you know how you choose to lead, how you present yourself in your business, and you know what you will not compromise on, right? My famous line, know what you will do and what you will not do, right? It's your core values that give you, as a business owner, this clarity and guidance, and it makes the decision-making so much easier. Now, for Fernando, this came into play when our mutual friend, Layden Lewis, approached him with that very tight turnaround. It would have been easy for Fernando to say, no, I can't do this. It would have been easy for him to think of the request as unreasonable and turn it down. And who would have blamed him? I know Layden wouldn't have, right? But because Fernando is so truly committed to customer service, to that excellent client experience, he chose to take it on. And the extra effort he and his team put in to make that project happen, it clearly paid off, right? Both in referrals and reputation. Now, I'm certainly not saying you need to say yes to every ask that comes along your way. But the thing is, when you lead with your core values, when you're strong in them and you understand what you stand for, it becomes clear what you should say yes or no to. Okay? So I just want to take this apart. What if you're in a period of your life where one of your very strong core values is maybe raising your children? Maybe you are the primary caregiver. So a request like that to Fernando in the moment was a solid yes. But a request like that same request, if you are in a heavy period of raising children, might be like, this doesn't line up. So you see, it's personal to you. That's why it's important that you get personal with yourself and decide. And you don't know, I'm not going to say your values as a person change along the way, but the things that you lean into in your business do have seasons, okay? So little sidebar on all that, right? Now, let's keep in mind that Fernando didn't set out to become a 3D rendering guru, right? He was simply solving a problem for Mina. But the strategies that he had and the things that he did as a natural entrepreneur carried his business forward. And I think this illustrates very perfectly that the business side of all businesses is the most important side. If he started any business, he would have been a success because he first pays attention to the business and then he applies the technical, the creative skill, the what of that particular business, right? The what of it. Is it a baker? Is it a candlestick maker? Is it a rendering firm? As creatives, you have passion, you have talent, and if you will connect that to this business side, you will be successful as well, right? And finally, when he first started, he was learning as he went, like all of us do. He was using the basic software available to designers so that he could free up some of Mina's time. But again, he realized if he distinguished himself in the renderings business, if he leaned into his Fred Burns only, he would really have something on his hands, much more than he ever anticipated. So his niche, the best renderings, the best artists he could find anywhere, combined with his company core values, and there you go. He's standing out among the crowd. This is how you do it. It's textbook business 101. But It's also the perfect example of don't mistake simple for easy. Okay? Right? It's simple in its clarity. It doesn't mean it's easy. If you're willing to put in the work, you can do it. All right? So, if you want to be the best business owner, find the best people, the people who bring in their own zone of genius, the people who can do what you can't, who know what you don't, then bring them on. Okay? Bring them on. Okay? And this is really the idea behind all of the Power Talk Friday episodes, right? Looking all the way back to the first guest in 2017. I wasn't always sure what Power Talk Friday would become, but I knew that there were people out there with knowledge that I didn't have, with specialization that I didn't have. And I knew their insights and lessons could benefit all of us. So before we go, let's review exactly what Duque Renders has for you. All right? Number one, bringing this level of high quality renderings to the table as an interior designer will allow you to present a higher level of service to your clients. The difference between the tools and techniques that Duque Renders uses and the basic software options that you might have available to you are not the same. They're just not, right? Secondly, Duque Renders also offers you a personalized human account manager to guide you and help you make your project a success. All right? You gotta love that. Love that, right? 3, and maybe of the most importance, Fernando and his entire team know and understand your needs as an interior designer. Working with and for Mina, he has real-time market research all day, every day. He gets you, okay? And as a reminder, I want to bring to your attention the offer that Fernando has created for you. Whether you are listening to this show in real time as it airs in 2021, or if you are listening at any point in the future. So, if you are listening pre-Black Friday 2021, you are eligible for a $500 credit with a $500 purchase. And if you're listening in the future, use the code LuAnn20, LuAnn 20 to get 20% off your first order. All right? Go to duquerenders.com/LuAnn to take advantage of those offers, to download the pricing guide, to find out more information, and to get the first quote for your first project. All right? I have to say, I encourage you to go to the website, take a look at the renderings, and then you will have an even deeper understanding and, I imagine, appreciation for the quality of work that Duque Renders provides you. All right? I know when you see them, you will see right away how including these high-level 3D renderings will up-level and improve your projects. All right? Thank you so much to Fernando. Thank you for joining all of us today. And before I go, I want to share with you, since our recording, Mina and Fernando did welcome their beautiful, healthy baby girl, Penelope, to their family, sending all 3 of you the biggest hugs ever. Thank you tons for joining us today. Decide to be excellent. Thank you so much for joining me again today. This podcast is a production of WindowWorks, your resource for custom window treatments and awnings. To learn how we can help you on your next interior design project, go to www.windowworks-nj.com. And if you're interested in working with me on your business, either through masterminds or one-on-one coaching, or you want to know how to get my book, The Making of a Well-Designed Business, or you just want to know what's going on in the podcast land and where I'm going to be, all of that is found at LuAnnNigara.com. Thank you so much. Have an excellent day.